Today we're looking at the new Harley-Davidson Sportster S. Now, it was revealed 2 nights ago, and I woke up at 1 a.m. to actually watch this live reveal, and I'll show you what I got for the first half an hour of the reveal. That screen right there, I got to see for half an hour at 1 a.m. It was not worth waking up for, I can guarantee that. However, we did finally get to see it, and that's what we're talking about today. So we're going to look at the specs, the styling, and more importantly, the Australian pricing. Of course, obviously, we're in Aussie land, and today we're going to bring Iron Dundee in to have a chat with us, and so we can bounce off each other and ask each other's opinion. But let's kick off by rolling the intro, and then we'll bring Iron in for a chat.
With Sportster S, we knew we could put the sport back in Sportster. This motorcycle rides exactly the way that it looks. It's insane.
The design was intended to push the limits.
The acceleration, just an absolutely exhilarating feel.
Revolution Max, unlimited amounts of horsepower and torque right at the twist of a throttle.
It's such an exciting, thrilling motorcycle to ride.
All right, Iron Dundee, welcome to the channel, mate. Thank you for coming in tonight. I really appreciate your time.
Great, thanks for having me, Rob. It's really good to be here. Looking forward to having this chat.
Now, for everyone watching, if you don't know Iron Dundee, you do need to check him out. I'm just going to pop up his Instagram account. You'll see over here, he's growing really strongly on Instagram, and we will need to get him to grow stronger on YouTube as well, but he's doing a great job. Now, the reason why we've got Iron Dundee in tonight is because he's actually a Sportster owner. You can see that real sexy Iron Sportster there. So obviously being a Sportster owner and then coming into the new Sportster, he's the perfect man for the chat. So let's start by having an opinion about the styling. Tell me what you think about how this one's looking, Iron.
Look, I've had a couple of days now to have a look at this, so it's given me some time to really think about it. So I think they've got a V-Rod, they've got a Pan America, they've squashed it together, and you've got this. So it's an aggressive style bike. I really like it, but I'll get into the cost later with you because I'm not a fan of that. But it's nice. It is a good bike. It's in the step in the right direction for Harley-Davidson, definitely.
Yeah, so I think you're right. Like I think it's more like a V-Rod than a Sportster, and it's certainly got an aesthetic that's very similar to the fat. Is it the Fat Bob as well? With that rectangular sort of a headlight and the stance. It's very similar to the Fat Bob.
Yes, agreed. And it's also got that it's with the sweeping exhaust on the back of it. That right there, FTRS, Indian FTRS style, that sort of bike. I don't know. That's the only thing that I'm really disappointed with, that engine and that exhaust.
And I guess that's the other thing. So its competitors in this market space would be the FTR, would be the Indian Scout. I would say even it's a similar. The Scout's a lot smaller bike, but similar styling. There's a few bikes that head in this direction, and I don't know. Do you think that Harley's gone Harley enough for this? Do you think that, or do you think that it's becoming a bit of a homologation of all the other brands as well?
I think it is. I think it's a combination of everything. And the other side of this is it really a Sportster? Like if you look back at all the Sportsters from the 1957 onwards, it's always been, high speed racing. And the actual show talks about it, hill climbing, all that sort of stuff. But this just doesn't look like that. It is literally a smaller V-Rod. That's what it looks like to me. And that back end tail light is exactly what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, everyone in the side chat, or if you're watching this in the future, in the comments below, let us know what you think about it. I'd love to know your thoughts of the styling of this in particular. Do you think Harley's nailed this, or do you think that that they're heading in the wrong direction? You know, it's obviously, I think they're moving into the future, which they've got to do. But I can understand why people wouldn't like this. So, yeah, let us know what you think, in particular in the comments below the video. I'd really love to know your opinion. Let's have a look at the specs. And what I've put together is a little bit of a comparison between the Iron 1200 and the new Sportster S. So we're looking at, from a weight point of view, it's 228 kilograms for the Sportster S, the brand new bike. For the Iron 1200, it's 256 kilos. So that's a nice little weight saving. It's been on a diet. The new engine is the Revolution Max 1250T. Now, the T stands for torque, because the same engine is in the Harley Pan America, but this is a torquey version as compared to the Pan America being a higher end version, from what I understand. And we're looking at it's a 6-speed gearbox instead of a 5-speed. Now, where power and torque comes in, this is the exciting thing on this new model. Now, we're looking at 127 Newton meters of torque for this new engine, 99 Newton meters of torque for the Iron 1200. So that's a massive, massive increase in torque. Horsepower, 121 horsepower now, which is 90 kilowatts versus 60 kilowatts of the Iron. So we're talking about a very, very lightweight, quick bike for what it is.
Absolutely. It's double the horsepower of the Iron 1200 straight up from stock to this. It's just crazy.
I tell you what, it'd be a wind that throttle on and hang on sort of an experience. And I think the best thing about this, it looks like it's a good handling bike in comparison to the V-Rod that was very much a straight line bike.
Yes. The tank size, it's still smaller. It's actually smaller than the Iron 1200.
Right.
I think it was 11.2 or something like that liters. Yep. The Iron 1200 is 12.5. So
right.
3.1 gallons to 3.3 gallons in terms of for the Americans. So, but they say that the engine provides you with a better fuel economy for that bike.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, I've seen some of the guys that have been riding it are saying that they're getting 100 miles out of it, which is it's not a lot of distance to be able to get on the bike and travel somewhere. It's going to be more like a Sportster when it comes to stopping for fuel a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm stopping every 160 kilometers now, so
right,
refilling that up now. So,
and have you got the standard tank on that, or have you got one of the increased size tanks?
No, I've got the standard stock peanut tank. So that's the 3.3 gallon. So that's the one, or 12.3 liters, I think it is. So it's definitely, but obviously, I mean, they've tuned the engine to the point where it is a lot more fuel economy. So, you know, I also look at the fact that it's about time they put 6 gears on a Sportster.
Yes, agreed.
I'm only running 5, so it is about time for that. I also think it's about time that they actually started sticking LED lights on these things.
Yes, and speaking from my Street Glide Special, like it's got old school lights all around, and that's a pet hate of mine on a modern bike. You know, LEDs is the way to go. And looking at the screen now, that TFT with ride modes. Now, in your opinion, Harley-Davidson's with ride modes, is that a thing, or is that not a thing?
I don't know. I think it is a good thing. There's 4 modes. So the best thing about the 4 modes is that they come with the 3 stock ones, which is, I think is touring, sport, and another one I can't remember. But there's a 4th mode that you can actually add, which is your own personal tune or mapping.
Right.
So I feel that that's pretty cool that you're given the option to add your own type of tuning to it. So.
Yeah, so I agree with the ride modes. Like, I think for the new models coming out, the Pan America also has ride modes, of course, same engine or the similar engine. And I think it's the way of the future for my bike and your bike. Of course, we don't need ride modes on those. But if you're looking at the performance of these new bikes, it's almost a necessity, I think.
Agreed, 100%. And the other fact is that you've actually got a a fuel gauge now, which you don't have on the 1200. You just got to wait till the light comes on and off you go. So.
Yeah. And again, that's where, like, you know, we're both massive Harley-Davidson fans. So I'm not being critical. Well, I'm not being disrespectful when I say this, but they've been so backwards for so many years. For me, I'm liking to see these bikes moving into the future as well, because otherwise they're going to be overtaken by, or in particular, Indian and other Japanese and European bikes. It's a very, very tough competition these days.
No, I agree totally. I think it's a step in the right direction. Should they have called it a Sportster? That's my issue.
Yeah, and I agree. And that's like when the Holden Commodore moved into the new generation and they named it a Commodore. I don't think that was quite a good car, but it just wasn't a Commodore.
No.
And so I also look at this and I agree with you. This is a really good platform, a really good bike. I would have liked to have seen a new name rather than Sportster S. I think that's Sportster gives you a connotation of history and lineage, and this is a whole new generation, and it should have had its own identity.
So can I ask you then, Rob, is it the end of the original Sportsters, and this is the start of a new era?
Well, I know that they've stopped importing Sportsters into Australia, for one. Yeah. But I believe they're still going to be building them for the US market. So I don't know that it's the end of the Sportster. And to be honest, I really want to get my hands on one, an older one, just in case we're never getting them again, because I really want to be able to do a little bit of a just a very subtle chopper transformation on even if it's an 883, I don't care, but I just want to have that old school sporty sitting in the garage.
Yeah, I agree. That would be really pretty cool.
Yeah. Mate, so I guess when it comes to Harley-Davidsons, the white elephant in the room is always cost. And in particular, cost in Australia. Like in the States, when it's easily accessible, it's a different story. But we're looking at $26,495 plus on-road costs in Australia. Now, tell me your opinion on that.
I don't think, is this a kids channel or is it?
No, you can say whatever you want, man.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Like, seriously, I'm so angry. I rang my dealer up first thing Tuesday morning and I said to them how much, and he goes, $26,495 on the road. Yeah. And I went, what color is that? And he goes, white.
Yeah, that's stock standard.
It's just, you're kidding me. Look, 15,000 US is what it is over there.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking, say, $3,000 for import, another 5% on top of that for taxes. You're looking at 23. I think 23. If this bike came out at 23 on the road, you've got a good deal.
Yeah.
I think $3,000 is just a little bit too much. That's my opinion on it.
and who knows? Like as time goes on, the initial cost might reduce a little bit. We don't really know just yet. The market will tell that in the future. But yeah, it's a lot of coin. And while that screen's sitting on the screen in front of us, let's talk about that elephant right there, right? Those big fat cans sitting on the back. That is ugly as hell.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. If you could put some sweepers on it, maybe just going around the swing arm there, that might look too bad. But there is supposed to be a couple of models coming out of this. So the styles of this. The other side of this as well is this the actual product that we will get in Australia? What you are looking at right now, is this the final product?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it will be. I think you'll see a bit of a change to it. And that's just to suit the market and the emissions and all that sort of stuff that Australia has. So
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's always the Harley tax. Like there's not many Harley owners that don't modify their bike anyway. So I guess people are looking at that as a blank slate and going, well, the pipes are just going to sit in the shed anyway once you get new pipes put on it.
Agreed.
I've still got my original Street Glide pipe sitting in the garage.
Yeah. I got mine taken off and they left them there and they said, do you want them? I said, nah, it's all right. Don't worry.
We get hit with the EPA down here a little bit, so you've got to have them to slip back on if you ever need to.
Yeah. So I've got a little sticker on mine that says it's under the decibel level, so it's all good.
Right. No, that's good. Where do we get a sticker like that down here?
We could get you one. We can organize that. See, the other issue that I've got, one final comment is that, 26,495 for the bike. 2021 Street Bob with the 114, 23 grand drive away.
Yep. Well, I think there's 2 or 3 of the soft tails that are coming in cheaper than this.
Yes.
And I guess that comes down to, I mean, that is a completely different market as well, because those lower model soft tails are definite cruisers, whereas this is a performance bike. Like, this is the Ferrari of Harley-Davidson.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. It's kind of like they're going back to the Buell days. So
yeah. And they were crazy days. That was a solid direction at the time, but probably too early.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can see a lot of that coming through again now.
Yeah, agreed. No, it was actually really well done. I do like the bike. Don't get me wrong. I think it is in the step in the right direction. I'd like to hear some people who have actually ridden it, and sort of get their opinion on things like, because that seat looks really thin. Like looks like a thin seat. The shocks, Harley's always had crap shocks. Sorry, they've had shit shocks for years.
Yes.
So it'd be interesting to see what they say about that sort of stuff. But,
well, I did notice, I've been digging around the website today, and I think it's in the parts and accessories department on the website, there's another video talking about the accessories that will be available. So you can get bigger seats, you can get a pillion seat, you can get rear set PI. There's a lot of, I think they said there's going to be over 500 accessories available for it, something like that. So they've already planned for like the factory modifications, and then you've got the third party stuff as well. But again, like, what Harley seat is comfortable when you first get your bike? Like,
exactly.
It's kind of one of the first mods that we do exhaust and we do seats and then suspension.
Well, that's right. And I suppose that's one of the reasons why a lot of people do go to the Sportsters or anything like that. It's because of the amount of aftermarket parts you can get for it. It's huge. You can make a cafe racer to a chopper to a, just a general stock 883 or a 1200 or a 48. So you can make it your own. And I hope they do that with this. I hope that there's enough parts out there that you can create your own. Yeah,
I have no doubt. I mean, I think Harley-Davidson make more profit from their after-sales products than they do from the initial product itself. And in particular, dealers. I know the dealers don't make much of a percentage markup on sale of the bike, but they earn their dollars from servicing and from spare parts and accessories. And so I think that's probably a big part of the business model.
Did you have you spoken to your local dealer in regards to this bike?
No, I haven't actually. My local dealer, and I probably shouldn't say this on live air, but my local dealer, it's a beautiful shop, but you walk in there and you can walk through the whole building and have no one even look at you and say hello. And it's a bit disappointing because they're 5 minutes from my house. Whereas I went recently and visited another Harley store in Sydney, in southwestern Sydney, and I walked in there and every single staff member said g'day to me. So I have a feeling that I'll be taking my my business and my advertising to southwestern Sydney, travel further. But, it's important for me, if I'm recommending someone or something, it's important to me that I know whoever goes from my videos to that place, they're getting good service. And that's why in the chat I can see Div from Motorcycle Stuff in there. That's why I do so much stuff with Div, because he's a quality dude. and going into his shop, you know that you're getting customer service right from the very get-go.
Yeah, and that's good. And I suppose that's where I was trying to sort of, I've got sort of like 4 dealers in a range of 100 kilometers around me, and I could pick and choose, but the one that I do go to, that they're always accommodating and everything like that. But when it came to discussing this bike, and they were saying, yeah, we're not going to actually bring any of these in to Australia. You will have to order it. Once you have ordered it, we will bring it in, and don't expect it until February next year.
Yeah, I'm thinking that in Sydney, I think we'll see some being delivered. But yeah, regional areas definitely there'll be order only. I've seen some of those, the Electra Revival, that a couple of those have been coming through city dealerships, but they're pre-order only in regional areas. So yeah, I agree. I mean, it's definitely going to be a specialized sort of a bike for a specialized sort of a person.
I agree. Yes, it's nice. It's in the right direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're looking into the future now with Harley, which is great. I mean, as long as they keep their traditions, like us old blokes need to be kept happy. But we also need the younger generation, like this young lady in the image there. We need that generation coming through so the brand stays alive, because otherwise it'll just die, and it'll die when we die, and there'll be nothing left.
No, I agree. I that's what I do agree with. And if it's about time they brought out a new engine. Let's be honest, like even from the Pan America and that, it is about time. Wouldn't be surprised if I was actually talking to Bolt Bucket the other night about this, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Indian stick the FTR into their Scout, the engine from the FTR into the Scout. You're talking similar horsepower, 100 horsepower straight out, or the FTR is like 120, I think, as well. And that will be the challenge then.
Well, the new Indian, is it called the Chief Limited? The new one that's come out, it's like a bobber, but it's more like a Harley style of a bike, but it's got the bigger Thunderstroke engine in the smaller frame. So a lot of the guys in the States have been riding them, and they're getting a very good rap too. So again, like Indian are killing it. Like they're really taking a percentage of market share away from Harley, and which is good. It's good for business. It's good for the consumer.
It's good for competition. Yeah,
absolutely.
It drives sales, and I'm a big believer. I don't care what you ride. If you're on the road, it's less cars. So I'm good with that. So that's
absolutely. Yeah, totally. And speaking about that, I just saw in the chat, Chewy said Penrith Kawasaki, a solid shop out there, and they are, mate. I've done a lot of work with them, a lot of videos for them, but they're really good people. And for all you Kawasaki riders, I highly recommend that Penrith Kawasaki gets your vote. Chief Bobber, Div just said the Chief Bobber is that new Indian with the bigger engine in it. That's an absolute weapon.
That'll be good. That'll be. But hopefully it'll. Do we know when that's coming out, like in Australia, or? I haven't
done any research on that yet. I don't have any contacts in the Indian world. So I bet I'll be looking into it, because it'll be a great bike for us to all get on our channels.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just saying same price. So same price as that. So wow, that could be interesting.
Yeah, really. All right, wrapping it up, my man. Give us your final opinions. Is it something you'd look at buying in the future, or is it something that's just a little bit left of field for you?
Look, like I said before, I actually did ring up the dealer to look at doing this whole, the Freedom program when I bought mine. I've only had mine for 6 months. Hey, full trade in. How much were you talking? Trade over, or And as soon as they told me the price, I was out. I was like, I love the bike. I think it's in the right direction. I think the engine's great. It's about time we've got a Sportster out there over 100 horsepower. It's about time we've got a lighter weight with a friggin' fuel gauge. I'm sorry, but the fuel gauge is my best thing that's ever happened to this bike. So but apart from that, look, I think it will sell. I think Australia will struggle with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think we'll get this into the market as fast as what the rest of the world will.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a bit of a shame. So
Yeah, I know all about that from my little Polo GTI that I bought. It's brand new model to Australia, but it was in Europe 3 years ago. So when I make videos about it, they go, "No, that's not a 2021." I said, "Yeah, it is. I promise you." But we're in Australia.
Yeah, and that's what I was expecting to see. You know, I mean, the Pan America. There's 400,000 videos out there on the Pan America, and then all of a sudden, my dealer goes, "Do you want to test ride the Pan America? It's July."
Yeah. But the angle you do now is go, well, do you know what? Like now, because it's so old news, we need to take it off road and really test it properly. You've got no excuses anymore.
I can see what my dealer will say then.
All right, wrapping it up, team. Everyone in the side chat again, I'm sorry I haven't replied to all of your messages. There's a bunch there, but I will go back and watch them. I really appreciate everyone stopping by. Iron Dundee, thank you, mate, for your time on a Thursday night. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see at Iron Dundee is his Instagram handle. Also search for him on YouTube and give him a follow. Tell him that you came across from this video. And we're in lockdown still in Sydney, unfortunately. And now I think Victoria's gone into lockdown for 5 days. So you Queenslanders need to count your lucky stars at the moment that you don't catch our disease.
Let's give it time.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, everyone in the chat, everyone watching this video in the future, thanks for watching. Iron Dundee, take care, my man.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Until the next video, throttle on, folks. Stay safe, and I'll see you later.